Hi, Leo. Welcome to Pandora Astrology's monthly horoscope for April of 2021. There's a wave of career energy coming at you this month, and you might find yourself really wanting to focus on that. And if you do, mission orders reading with one of us would bring that focus really strongly, enable you to catch the wave before it peaks. So the timing for that could be really good. Well, Jupiter is moving along through Aquarius, which is your seventh house, bringing confidence, expansion, and growth, and adventure and opportunities to your relationship sector. Let's take a look at this. So here's Jupiter occupying your seventh house. And this is such a great time to either, enjoy a real renaissance in your relationship or, expand out into something new. It's great for finding a partner, and it's great for having adventures with a partner that you already have. Now, if you actually have late Leo rising, then you might have Jupiter in the sixth house, in which case it's already been a great time and a luck period in your work, in your health, and in your personal organization. So this has been a really good time for, getting more organized around the house or developing better systems at work or growing your client or customer list. Jupiter transits are really great things to take advantage of. And you can find out more about the precise details of when and where it's in specific houses in your own chart in a reading, of course. And you can find out more about Jupiter in Aquarius in the video that we made about it on our 2021 news playlist on our YouTube channel, Pandora Astrology. Well, Julia, you've got some news about Mercury, Venus, and Mars for the Leos of the world. What's that stuff?
Oh, well, I'll let the Leos know. So I'll start with Mercury, that planet of communication. It also represents where the majority of our thinking is going to take place. And very early on in the month, on April 3rd, Mercury is going to be in your ninth house. This is the house of travel. This is the house of higher education. It's also the house of legal matters too. So your mind might be on faraway places. Maybe you're planning another trip for your next vacation, or maybe your mind is preoccupied with any kind of legal matters or contracts or negotiations in the legal world. That could also be possible. It's a wonderful time for schoolwork if you're in school or you want to learn anything that expands you too. Then on April 19th, Mercury is moving real fast, so it'll jump into your 10th house of career. And this is going to be a wonderful time for kind of organizing, strategizing, and really putting a lot of thought into your current career, or if you're not in a career right now and looking for a job, this is a great time to work on your resume. Then Venus, the planet of art, beauty, and relationships, begins the month in your ninth house. Again, that's the house of the higher mind, of travel, of education too. So if you're single and in school, you might actually develop a crush on somebody, one of your classmates, maybe even a teacher too. Also, if you're single and not in school, you might be attracted to somebody who comes from a really different background than you, like maybe a foreigner, for example. Then on April 14th, Venus is going to go into your 10th house, again, joining Mercury. Well, Mercury will be there a few days later, but they're kind of going in sync this month. And when Venus goes into the 10th house is not just a career house, but it's also the house of authority figures. So this is a really, really wonderful time for negotiating anything with authority figures in your life, for using diplomacy with them, and maybe even gaining the favor of your bosses, your teachers, parents, if there's still authority figures in your life too, would all be ruled by this house. Then Mars, the planet of action and activity, starts the month in your 11th house of friends. And wherever we have Mars is where we feel really driven, but where we also might run into some conflicts as well. And since the 11th house not only represents your friendship circles, but any groups you're a part of, maybe writing workshops, teams, sports teams, societies, clubs, you could be feeling a little extra competitive with the groups in your life or even among your friendship circles. And Mars tends to sometimes bring a little conflict too. So there might be a few flare-ups in there as well. Then on April 23rd, Mars is going to go into your 12th house. And the 12th house is one of the most isolated houses in the zodiac. And it's also rather hidden as well. So when Mars is in the 12th house, we often feel like where we really, really want to put our effort into things, we kind of prefer to work on our own. Sort of, we don't really feel like team players during this cycle. You know, you can probably do your best work on your own if there's a way you can arrange that in your professional life. And the 12th house is the house of the subconscious. So you might be getting a little bit angry and itchy, but not really quite know where it's coming from too, because the subconscious is such a vast and, ephemeral place. As well. But the other thing to keep in mind is sometimes with Mars in the 12th house, even if you feel like you're working away at things, it might not feel like you're also getting the credit that you deserve for all the hard work you've been putting into stuff too. But it is a wonderful time for any types of meditation, any types of yoga, and a really great transit if you feel driven to sort of help people in need in some way as well.
Yeah, so true. Very good for charitable efforts like that. So we have a couple of moons to talk about. And also I want to mention, now that the chart is set for the end of the month, that there's this general movement from Aries into Taurus. And as I move the chart backwards, you'll see things backing up into Aries, which is mostly the 9th house. And so there's a seasonal shift that goes on this month. And so one way that this shows up is in the moons. So the first of these 2 moons this month is a new moon in Aries happening on April 11th. Right here you can see it, and that falls into that 9th house, which is the domain of the higher mind, of philosophy, and it's the house of the seeker. And this is the house in which we discover or assemble or adopt a worldview that enables us to make sense of life and find meaning in it. So there's a lot of stuff going on in this arena of life in the beginning of the month, the new moon included, and then all of the energy is going to shift into the career domain, where you've got to, kind of put your money where your mouth is, or bring into the grounded physical world some of the fruits of those, high philosophies you've been preoccupied with. So this April 11th moon, this new moon in the 9th house, new moons are really good at planting seeds. It's involves a lot of Aries energy. So there's this quality of directness, forthrightness, even bluntness, and assertion. So we're calling this one assertive, but also relatable because of the presence of Venus and the harmony with Juno. So this could be a really great time for having dialogues and conversations with people about beliefs and worldview, leading you to get a better understanding of your own ethical and moral structure. Now on April 19th, the sun moves into Taurus right here. And this is where you really begin to see that the Aries section is emptying out and the Taurus section is filling up. And that brings the emphasis to the 10th house of career and authority that Julia was talking about. And Taurus is the season of flowers and wonderful smells. It's a very sensory and sensual, very grounded and practical season. And so because of the energies gathering here, you might really want to bring the focus to career and your own authority and your own, progress along that track. Particularly, the full moon in Scorpio will have some thoughts to add. Here it is on April 26th. And we see the moon is in the 4th house right here, opposite the sun in Taurus with its companions right there. We've called this moon focused obsession balanced with calm objectivity. Now, because the Scorpio full moon is the most emotionally intense moon of the year, and because it falls in your 4th house, there might be a lot of emotions coming up with family, whether that's the family that you live with now as an adult, or whether that's the family that you came from. It might specifically be mother, although that's not necessarily the case. but there may be a lot of feelings that come up around nurture and care because of this. And most likely not all of them will be positive feelings. It could be quite intense, and it could be an occasion for clearing, some old bad feelings that had sort of become calcified over time. Um, and then, balancing home life with career, which is an important thing to do when both of those houses are occupied in an opposition. Um, so I want to say a little bit about Pluto retrograde before we finish. Pluto is direct, like all of the outer planets right now here at the beginning of the month, and I've been saying this in your horoscope for a couple of months now, that the late winter and the early spring of this year is the best time all year to begin the really big projects of life, because those outer planets are direct, not retrograde. As they start to go retrograde, which is beginning this month, later this month, and as they then, as a sort of a domino effect, they start to go retrograde one in a row over the next several months, it becomes more and more complex conditions in which to begin anything new. And you're kind of asking for, some built-in fault lines right there into your project. And so I recommend that you get in under the wire before Pluto turns retrograde, which is right here on April 27th. And you would really feel this Pluto retrograde if you're having an actual transit of Pluto in your chart this year. If there's something in your chart anywhere from 24 to 26 degrees of any cardinal sign at all, and that means in Aries, in Libra, in Cancer, or in Capricorn, then you would absolutely feel the effect of this Pluto. You would feel it especially around the 27th. But it's the beginning of a deep inward journey of transformation, and you might feel like you're going into a meltdown. That would not at all be surprising. And if you are, Julia and I are here for you, and we can show you a diagram laying out the transit, speaking to exactly the area of life that's being impacted by the transit, advise you about how to respond to it so that you can feel more empowered with it and less crushed by it. And also telling you when it's going to end, because sometimes that's all you need to know to feel better about it. So that's all we have for you today. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, please be sure to like this video, share it widely, and subscribe to our YouTube channel, Pandora Astrology, where you will always find the news of the month and your horoscope. And on our website, you'll find those things too, on our monthly forecast page and our horoscopes page. And you could get a reading or even take a class. And until next time, we'll see you around the cosmos. Bye.
Bye-bye.